Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today I thought it could be fun to do a curated comic book haul video. I haven't done a haul video in a while, and thanks to the generosity of our friends over at Fantagraphics, I did get a load of recent Disney Fantagraphics releases. We have hardcovers, oversized hardcovers, and even a box set. I'm looking forward to talking about all of these books today, but before we do, again, just a huge thank you to those at Fantagraphics for sending them over, and if any of them look enjoyable to you, definitely pick them up. And now finally, before we dive in, I do want to shout out the channel sponsor, Panel Bound Comics. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link to them in the video description. If you see anything on that website you like, you can use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to continue to support the channel. Thank you very much for considering. Now let's get started with today's Fantagraphics Disney Comic Book Haul. Kicking off our list today, I've selected Disney Masters Goofy, Super Goof, and The Strange Case of Dr. Syclocks. Full transparency, this is my first Goofy comic I've ever owned, and I'm really happy to do so. I have a couple of the other Disney Masters line following Donald, and I've really enjoyed those collections that I've read thus far, but to have a Goofy book now, I'm really eager to continue to dive my way through. Growing up, Goofy was my favorite of the Disney Fab Five, but I've never read him in comic book form, and I'm eager to see what kind of antics he gets into. If the title is any indication, he does have a bit of a superhero alter ego, and I honestly can't wait to learn more about it. I will say beyond that, though, I don't know much about this collection. I would love to hear from anyone in the comments who has read it. Do you enjoy this collection? Do you have other Goofy comics you can recommend? But yeah, as for me, I will be continuing to dive my way in. They do seem like classic stories, just judging from the art, but I do really like it. I think the character modeling for Goofy looks interesting and engaging, definitely recognizable, if not the most definitive version of this character I've ever seen. Like all of the other Fantagraphics releases I've had, they definitely pride themselves on the quality of the build here. This book is just so perfectly put together. There's a uniformity with the other Disney Masters line, so that's really nice on the bookcase, or if you're collecting these just in general. A couple hundred pages, so we got a nice few stories collected inside. Really fun stuff here, a couple extras as you'll see. I will plan to do a full review of this book once I finish it out, so if you are interested in more of my thoughts on it, definitely stay tuned to the channel and be on the lookout for a full review, and I'll definitely weigh in on more of the stories and just generally what I think. And with that, let's go ahead and go on to the next book. Okay, next on my haul video, we have Darkwing Duck, Just Us Justice Ducks, from the Disney Afternoon Adventures line, which is collecting comic book stories, I believe, from the 80s and 90s. In recent years, Fantagraphics has been churning out these Disney Afternoon collections, and honestly, this is my first set of them, and I'm eager to read more. This is actually the first one I started reading. I believe this is the Volume 1, although I think you can kind of read them in whatever order you want. Each of these collections showcases a different primary character on the front, but you'll see as I flip my way through that it does have collections in here, for example, not just of Darkwing Duck, but of the Gummy Bears, and there's a Goofy movie adaptation, which I love to see. The Goofy movie was one of my favorite Disney movies growing up in the 90s. At any rate, what I like about this is you could see all of your favorite, 90s, afternoon cartoon friends in these collections, across the different volumes. I've seen characters from Tailspin show up, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Ducktales, Bonkers, and so many more. So on every given set, you have a handful of stories that'll collect a couple of these different franchises. Sometimes there'll be some crossover. You never really know quite what you're going to get, and I really like that for this collection. Like I said, they sent me a few of these, so I have 4 or 5. Even in this haul video, I will show you why this one is notable for me, other than being a big Darkwing Duck fan, is again the inclusion of the Goofy movie adaptation, which, if not frame for frame, honestly looks like a very faithful adaptation of the movie, so very exciting to have that in a comic book form, along with, again, these really fun Darkwing Duck comics. I did review a newer Darkwing Duck run not too long ago on the channel, I think for Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, just really cool to have more Darkwing Duck content. I love that Fantagraphics has the same continued fidelity as far as just the quality of the builds here as well. It stands pretty shoulder to shoulder with the Disney Masters in many ways. And while these comics that are collected here might not go as far back as some of the Disney Masters collection, they are still, again, a fun treasure trove, again, from the 80s and 90s. Next up is another of the Disney Afternoon Adventures collection. This is Ducktales, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, which I believe was the title of a DuckTales movie, if I'm not mistaken, so that might be included in here. I guess I'll have to read and find out. I was a huge fan of DuckTales as well. I know they rebooted that franchise with a new cartoon a couple years ago, but to have some of the DuckTales comics, yeah, sign me up. Huey, Dewey, Louie, and of course Uncle Scrooge, what's not to love? Like the other Disney Afternoon Adventures collections, or like the previous one I just spoke of, a Darkwing Duck, we not only have DuckTales stories here, we have a lot of other characters from different franchises, again, all fitting that Disney Afternoon kind of cartoon lineup that you might have expected back in the 90s, or even late 80s. The reproductions of these issues, I think, are really well done. I think that, I don't know what kind of restoration or archival stuff they were able to do for this release, but everything looks very polished and nice. The same paper stock we get here from the other collection, just really, really well done. Everything's really legible, readable. I love the format choice here. I love that we get it in a beautiful hardcover, and honestly, just all the stories I've read in the Disney Afternoon Adventures line so far have just been a ton of fun. Yes, are they geared towards maybe primarily younger audience? Perhaps, or also they could be aimed for people like me from this demographic. You know, I'm a 90s kid, I have a family of my own, and I'm eager to introduce my kids to some of these characters that they might have slept on, or they might not have seen some of these cartoons, and now I have this stuff in comic book format. Just really, really fun. I feel like we have some low-stakes adventures and just really entertaining comics. Next on the list is a recent release from Fantagraphics. This is an oversized hardcover, and it is This Looks Like a Job for the Duck Avenger. This is Donald Duck's comic book, kind of superheroic, anti-hero, comic hero, alter ego. We get a new crack at it. He's done this character before in the past, I believe, but this is the freshest incarnation. It is a standalone story. I think it's just under 60 pages, if I'm not mistaken. But again, we have this oversized dimensions here. It is really tall as far as the trim size, so you get plenty of just great looking art here. It's a giant book. I like that it doesn't overstay its welcome. I did start this book the other night, and it has been a ton of fun so far. I really like that Fantagraphics isn't just concerning themselves with, really, really old Disney stories, but they're also churning out new adventures like this story here. I think it's a great way to keep some of the intellectual property fresh and fresh feeling with Fantagraphics. Maybe you come for the Disney Masters, but you want to dabble in more recent stuff. Well, here's a great opportunity to do so. I know that they've had other great releases, more modern, that I've really loved, like Mickey Mouse and the Amazing Lost Ocean. I loved that book. It's eye-popping. It's gorgeous. I think they have another Mickey Mouse kind of contemporary work coming out that's like him as an astronaut. More on that if I get a copy of that. But for right now, I have Duck Avenger. This is the most modern of the releases I have in my collection as far as when it was written from Fantagraphics in this haul. And honestly, I dig it. I really like the art style here. I like the interpretation of Donald. I think it cashes in on the current superhero moment as well. And just what fun. I think that this was such a fun way to approach a Duck comic recently, and I was really eager to get this copy. Because this is a recent release, I am curious, have any of you read This Looks Like a Job for Duck Avenger? Let me know if that's the case in the comments. Would love to get more feedback on this work. Next up on this Fantagraphics Disney comic book haul, we have yet another Disney Afternoon Adventures hardcover here. This is Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the Count Roquefort case. I mentioned this earlier in some of the previous entries, but like the other ones, we do have primarily the Chippendale Rescue Rangers taking top billing for this collection, but you will find other stories from other franchises. Obviously, Rescue Rangers was a huge deal back in the late 80s, early 90s, and honestly, there's a great reason for it. We have an eclectic group of adventurers here. We have, of course, the titular Chip and Dale, but we have a lot of others, and honestly, it was great seeing them again now in this comic book format. Chippendale Rescue Rangers has been on my mind recently because Disney Plus came out with an original film that kind of did a meta commentary and also had some interesting live action animated elements, kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They had a new version of Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Really liked it. It was a standalone movie with John Mulaney and Andy Samberg, I believe, as Chippendale. Anyway, really fun stuff. If you're a fan of Roger Rabbit, definitely check that out on Disney Plus if you can. Anyway, that has nothing to do with these comics other than that's the same intellectual property. Yes, I was a fan of Chippendale Rescue Rangers. The fact that I now have a collection that's their stuff along with some of these other cartoon classics. I really, really love that. I think that this line of comics is really fun, not only for all ages and people that are liking the nostalgia, but maybe people that just want something fun in their Disney library. Honestly, it's really great to have something collected from this period. I feel like a lot of the Disney comic stuff I've been getting have been decades older than the stuff collected here, or brand new releases, and I think that this is really smack in the middle of Disney comic book kind of canon, and I think that that's a really fun approach. I also like that we have the general theme of the Disney afternoons. I think the comics that were coming out might have been the Disney afternoon adventures too. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong there, but again, I've said it on a couple of the other entries, but very exciting stuff, and I love that there's a collection devoted to Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers as the primary. Okay, and the last of my Disney Afternoon Adventures collections here I have, though that's not all that have been released. There's a Tailspin one and some more. At any rate, this is another Darkwing Duck collection. This one's subtitled Marinated Mystery. We have a fun picture of Darkwing Duck gracing the cover. Again, I've already been kind of redundant with this, but these are collecting the Disney Afternoon Adventures. All these fun different Disney cartoons that you would have seen in the 80s and 90s have comic book adventures, and they are compiled across these collections, giving you a nice sampling of different titles, not just the one on the title, although in most cases, if you buy a book that's titled Darkwing Duck in this case, he will be the primary stories in the book. I think that's probably fair to say. But I like the variety here. I think you come for Darkwing Duck, you stay for some of the others. At least that's the case here with this title. The artwork also looks really, really faithful to the cartoon counterpart. So if you've seen some of the Darkwing Duck cartoon, you'll fit right in. You'll be able to recognize everybody. And that goes for the rest of the cartoons that are kind of portrayed here, I should say. I don't know if I brought it up earlier, but there's not a ton of divergence between the cartoons and these comic book counterparts, which I think as fans of those cartoons is exactly what you want to see. You want to see something that feels so faithful, recognizable, and that you can just slip right into the comic book world. I also just think Darkwing Duck is absolutely perfect for the comics book medium, and I think that this is a great way to get some of his fun stories. So for one very last time, this is Darkwing Duck, Marinated Mystery, part of Fantagraphics Disney Afternoon Adventures hardcovers. Okay, and last but not least on my comic book haul for today is actually the collection I'm most excited about, and that is the Silly Symphonies box set. These are Walt Disney's Silly Symphonies comic strips that were running between 1932 all the way to 1939. So the Silly Symphonies from the 30s are all collected here, as far as I'm concerned, across two beautiful hardcovers. I do believe these hardcovers were released in the past, but now we get them both collected together in one box set. For the purpose of the haul, though, I'm only going to take a look at the first collection, which is from 1932 to 1935, and primarily stars Bucky Bug. We do also have some appearances from Donald Duck and a few others, but this is mostly a Bucky Bug collection, and that's a character I'm just learning more about, if I'm going to be honest with you. Being a huge fan of Disney for most of my life and enjoying a lot of the old Silly Symphonies shorts, this title definitely caught my eye. I'm also a fan of older school Disneyana, and so I think that this is a really brilliant release that I am so just absolutely thrilled to have in my collection. The box itself for the box set is an absolute work of art and looks like a piece of Disney decor, to say the least. The hardcovers are a great format too. We have a kind of extra wide variety that incorporates these comic strips as you would see them in print, and I love that. We go chronologically through the releases. I think every week they came out with a new strip. Each strip is dated, and you kind of get the continuity or flow from all the stories collected here. Like I said, you follow the origins of Bucky Bug and a lot of his misadventures, and eventually we get stuff with Donald. And what's funny is his initial appearances, he's a yellow duck, which is fascinating to me. They even address that in the introduction, which, by the way, we have an introduction, a lot of great archival images and essays throughout this book, and primarily at the front. Really fun stuff here. And again, this is just a sampling of the first hardcover of two in this box set. The second one has more Silly Symphony strips, including more Donald Duck stories, adaptations, or a comic strip for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and much, much more. If you want to see a full review of this, once I complete it, let me know. Like I said, this is one I have been so excited to get. I actually think it's my most anticipated Fantagraphics release of the year, and that's saying something. Really great stuff here. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and start bringing this comic book haul video to a close. Again, I decided to curate my haul a little bit more following Disney Fantagraphics releases. I actually have a couple more Fantagraphics releases, but I'm not going to show them until a little bit of a later date. They don't come out for a little bit, but stay tuned on the channel. One of them is Disney related, so if you're curious about that, definitely stay tuned. I got more coming down the way. And a huge thank you again. This video would not have been possible without our friends at Fantagraphics. If any of these looked interesting to you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to get some discussions going. Let me know if you've read any of these titles or if you're a fan of Fantagraphics as a publisher. I would love to get some more recommendations. And also, on a personal note, let me know if you'd like to see more comic book hauls on the channel. I used to do them monthly, then I kind of made them every so often, and I feel like it's been a long time since I've done a proper one. Tried to do something a little bit different today, but if you'd like to see more comic book hauls in the future, let me know about that in the comments as well, and thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to leave a like, those comments, and maybe share the video with a friend. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good day.